Paper Mario has always pushed itself in new directions. Never content with the formula, the series is relentless with ideas. The Origami King continues this mindset by mixing the beloved timing-based challenges of the past with puzzle solving that manifests itself in different ways during fights. Beyond the battle system, every area in Origami King feels dramatically different, not only in terms of theme, but in how you progress, with locations greatly expanding in scope as the game goes on. Yet for all the great ideas that Paper Mario has, major elements such as the combat don't feel quite fully formed, holding the game back from true excellence. In broad strokes, the plot of Origami King is standard Mario fare, but it's in the finer details where the game shines. An evil king named Ollie captures Princess Peach and her castle, leaving it up to Mario and Olivia, Ollie's sister, to stop him and rescue the princess. Although the overall goal never really gets more complicated, the characters manage to make the journey engaging. Olivia is a great companion, able to express and emote in ways that Mario just can't. Her naive yet irrepressibly bubbly attitude makes finding new locations even more enjoyable because of how genuinely excited and fascinated she is with the world. Origami King constantly finds ways to crack jokes, often about paper, or simply just to be goofy. Such a commitment to the whimsical vibe makes the game pleasant and easygoing. Yet frustratingly, there are moments when the game hints that it could be more. One of the companions, Bobby, has a fantastic arc that gives the game some emotional weight. Unfortunately, nothing else in the game reaches that same high, and it feels like a missed opportunity. There's nothing wrong with being lighthearted, but Bobby shows that providing depth to characters can go a long way toward player investment. One of Origami King's biggest strengths is how interactive the world is. Almost everywhere you go, there's something to jump on, hit with your hammer, or throw confetti at. A huge number of toads are hidden all over the place, begging you to find them throughout the game. Sometimes a toad is disguised as a grasshopper, and other times it's just stuck in something and needs to be pulled out. Regardless, toads turn environments into brief but satisfying puzzles, challenging your curiosity and making areas feel like far more than nondescript places with battles dumped into them. Of course, if the game only relied on toad hunting, it would quickly get stale, but thankfully Origami King aggressively throws new activities in your face. While the game starts out slow and rudimentary, it does eventually expand quite a bit. A good example of this is Shogun Studios, an area fairly early into the game. It's an entire amusement park to explore with a distinct samurai and ninja theme. The wide-open park asks you to comb every corner looking for items needed to progress. There are even multiple mini-games to participate in, such as a shuriken throwing contest. Later on, you get to explore a sea in a way that feels eerily reminiscent of the Wind Waker. The section drags on for too long, but still, uncovering small islands that each have their own unique activities is exciting, and it's even more remarkable that it's largely isolated to just one section of the game. Origami King goes out of its way to be diverse, and the adventure is better for it. The battle system is also decidedly different. Situated on a ring, you rotate and slide enemies to either form lines or cluster them into a bunch. Players receive a damage bonus for configuring everything correctly, and a timer limits how long you have to piece it all together. Getting your brain used to the system does take some time, but the game eases you into it very well. Having small puzzles serve as battles helps variety quite a bit, since there's so many solutions, and enemies later on push that variety even further. Some RPGs run into the problem of allowing an effective strategy or an extra powerful attack to bulldoze any obstacle, but the puzzle format here can keep you on your toes. Unfortunately, that only lasts until you realize that Origami King doesn't do much to push back when it comes to using resources or failing puzzles. Getting close to solving a puzzle isn't that much worse than nailing it, since the damage you take is often minuscule, healing is abundant, and allies can sometimes clean up your mistakes. Sure, you may not receive the reward for completely avoiding damage during a fight, but you get so many coins that it isn't much of a loss. Speaking of coins, you can spend them to call in toads for assistance, and they do things like partially solving puzzles, healing you, or occasionally giving you a new weapon. Getting assistance from toads is an extremely powerful tool, with the idea that using it drains your wallet. Yet many times after finishing an encounter, you earn back nearly as much, break even, or surpass what you spent on the toads, trivializing the cost. The fact that weapons break after repeated use isn't much cause for concern either, since it's easy to acquire plenty of them. It's also disappointing that many of the accessories you can equip feel so bland in their designs, doing things like providing more health during a fight, decreasing damage, or providing more time to solve a puzzle. Upgraded versions just increase these effects further, with nothing that really requires an interesting decision or pushes you to approach the game in a dramatically different way. It's clear that the game is concerned about players struggling with the puzzle-based battle system, and while that is valid, Origami King feels like it overcorrects in so many ways, smoothing over any edges just a little too much. Boss battles are better, purposely deviating from regular fights in meaningful ways. Instead of lining up enemies, you create a path for Mario to get to and damage the boss. This method allows for some depth when it comes to decision-making. Since you have a limited number of turns, sometimes you have to sacrifice one path for another, such as choosing a route that does double damage over one that heals you. Bosses also have their own mechanics to deal with, as many need to be damaged in a very specific way, or they have specific methods of disrupting the board you travel on. At their best, these fights are stressful brain teasers, really pushing you to think about each decision you make. Sometimes, though, once you've figured out how to hurt a boss, the challenge is wiped away entirely, leading to a sensation that you either get it or you don't. And there definitely feels like there's room for more middle ground. Not enough can be said about how well the game nails its origami look. In fact, the game has fantastic art direction in general, with its striking use of color and how creatively it takes well-known Mario elements and convincingly transforms them into folded paper. The music is often equally strong, adding a lot of excitement to battles or just finding the perfect way to capitalize on the specific mood of an area. Paper Mario: The Origami King is a delightful game that sometimes jumps forward into greatness, but never fully stays there. For as charming as so much of it can be, and for how admirable its commitment to variety is, it's too bad that by far the best story moments happen fairly early on, and the battle system too often feels like it lacks any real teeth. There's more than enough right to make it easy to recommend, but also just enough wrong to leave you wondering what could have been.
Yes!
If you're looking for more thoughts on Paper Mario, check out Frame Trap for impressions of this, as well as Ghost of Tsushima, Grounded, and more games every other week. And remember, all of our work is made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.